from OurTravelAdventures.com. Welcome to our vlog.
We had the opportunity to sail with Sail Croatia the second week of September and wanted to share our experience as well as provide some tips and info to help with your decisions if you're looking at a similar trip. Our weather was great the second week of September, but we got really lucky. The week before and the week after were rainy and cold, so September might be a little bit late to do this trip. I think it's important to point out that we paid for this trip and didn't receive any compensation from Sail Croatia, so these are honest opinions of our week. We had a difficult time finding much information about the cruise, so wanted to post this comprehensive blog about our experience. We chose the Explorer level cruise. We were able to talk to passengers on other levels, as well as passengers who went on hiking and biking cruises. Due to our budget, we knew the Elegance level was out. We also liked the activity level of Explorer versus the more laid-back Elegance level. We were definitely too old for Navigator, but they sounded like they had a blast. Hikers and bikers really enjoyed their experience as well. It sounds like they could go on the day's adventure if they wanted to, or they could hang back on the ship each day. The Almissa is one of 4 boats sailing Explorer level this year. She was built in 2017 and is still in great shape. There are newer, more expensive boats at this level, as well as an older, less expensive boat. We chose Almissa because of the itinerary and pricing, and we're happy with the choice. On the Almissa, we were the old folks. We're in our low 50s. Couples range from the late 20s through us oldies, but the group got along great. We enjoyed a few group excursions, always had great conversations at meals, and felt like we all melded into a big family by the end. We have several new Facebook friends from around the world and have actually stayed in touch with a few. We chose the Split to Dubrovnik cruise because Renee really wanted to see the Blue Cave. It would be a lot easier to do the Split return for airfare reasons because you start and end in Split, but the Blue Cave outside of Vis made the air travel hassle worthwhile for us. This is the Almissa as she cruised into Split the night before we boarded. If you get the chance to spend time in Split, we definitely recommend a couple of nights. We really enjoyed the city and we'll have a separate video about our time in Split. If your boat is on the main dock in Split, it is a crowded and confusing place. We are very glad we saw where we were headed the night before we boarded. The boats dock 5, 6, even 7 deep. There is a board at the beginning of the dock showing where boats are located, but it is by departure time, so the Almissa hadn't made the list when we arrived to board. There are Sail Croatia representatives. Look for the Sail Croatia shirts, and they can help you as well. There were several Sail Croatia cruises leaving on the same day, so several reps on the dock. Once you find where your boat is, you get to it by walking through all the boats between the dock and your boat. It can be a long way with luggage, and storage in your cabin is limited, so packing light is key. We spent most of our days in swimwear and cover-up or t-shirt, then had shorts for excursions and evenings. No need for anything fancy. Crossing boats became normal by the end of the week. Every evening was the same process. When crossing other boats, you're free to go through if the doors are open. Otherwise, it's customary to walk around the back of the boat. It's actually interesting to watch them tie up together. It's quite a process to get doors lined up and tied together to stay that way. Then they just hope one of the inside boats doesn't decide to leave, causing all the other boats to do circles until they can tie back up. We chose a lower cabin. We had read that they stay cooler and are quieter, so we're willing to give up a view, and they were also less expensive. Our first night on board, the air conditioning didn't work, so we really questioned our decision. But the rest of the cruise, we were really happy. There's traffic all night on the upper deck as the passengers from boats tied up outside of the Almissa made their way home. Late nights and lots of drinks don't lead to quiet people outside of your cabin. The cabin is a bit smaller than we're used to from cruises on big ships, and storage is definitely limited. Pack light. Your bags get stored under the bed, and one side of the bed was against the wall, so it made for a crawl over to get to the bathroom in the middle of the night. The bed was comfortable, and the cabin met all of our needs for the week. The bathroom was actually quite large compared to the large cruise lines. Lots of room in the shower. Everything was super clean. The porthole in our shower didn't have a curtain or blind, so it was fun to watch the water rush by when we were underway, but would sometimes look right into the cabin of the next boat when we were tied together at port. We just threw a shirt over it and problem solved. The Almissa has 19 cabins, so possibly 38 passengers. Our cruise only had 15 passengers, so definitely lots of room and no crowding. We're not sure how it would be if they were 100% full. There are actually 4 decks. The lowest consists of the lower cabins and crew cabins. Deck 2 is the upper cabins and access to the swim deck. There are public bathrooms on decks 2 and 3. Deck 3 has a covered sitting area aft. The bar and dining room, the kitchen, and the bridge. Deck 4 is a sun deck. One of our concerns was with bar pricing. We knew they had us as a captive audience, so figured pricing would be expensive, just like the big cruise lines. We were pleasantly surprised with prices actually being lower on board often than at the restaurants and bars that were at the islands we visited. Often we would explore the port, then come back and meet fellow passengers for before dinner drink, and again for a nightcap when we were wrapping up our evening. It was fun to hear what others had done with their shore time and talk with Carolina, the SEL Croatia rep, about plans for the next day. They had a wide variety of drinks, from beer on tap and in bottles to local wine to mixed drinks. Most drinks were from $5 to $10. They also had a water cooler available. Bring your own reusable container and you can fill it at any time. Our typical day consisted of engines starting between 6 and 8 a.m. We were at the front of the boat, so never heard the engines, but the emergency light in the room would go on for a few seconds as the boat shifted from shore power to the engines. So it was like daylight. A big surprise the first day or two, but just became common by the end of the cruise. As we cruised, breakfast would be served from 8 to 9. It consisted of fruit, meats and cheeses, breads, pastries, eggs, bacon and sausage, and cereals. It changed up a little, but was pretty much the same each morning. We had a few mornings where we didn't make breakfast and had the experience of waking up to the anchor dropping at our first swim stop of the day. Being right up front by the anchor, you definitely didn't sleep through that. The swim stops were beautiful. The water was chilly when you first jumped in, but comfortable after a minute or two. The Almissa had several different flotation devices, and the salinity level in the water kept you afloat pretty well on its own. There was also snorkeling gear, but not nearly the color or assortment of fish as we see in the Caribbean. After an hour or two of time in the water and exploring the shore, we would wash off in the freshwater showers on the swim deck, grab a drink, and head to the sun deck. The water was so many colors, greens, aquas, blues, and it was fun watching the sailboats and catamarans traffic from up high. Pretty soon, the crew would let us know lunch was being served. During lunch, the Almissa would cruise to a second swim stop. Our chef was Ida. She was introduced to us as the magician in the kitchen, and she lived up to the hype. Lunch was always 3 courses, starting with a soup, a salad. We even had octopus salad one day, and it was delicious, or an appetizer. The main course was everything from beef to pork to fish. Renee opted for vegetarian a few times. You could always ask what the menu consisted of and decide at that point. We had pasta, stuffed peppers, stuffed mushrooms, or hunks of meat and fish with vegetables. Desserts varied from cakes, pudding, and cheesecake. Renee can be a finicky eater, and the food was always good to great, especially once she found she had the vegetarian option, on beef days especially, since she isn't much of a beef eater. After lunch, we'd anchor for another swim stop and another incredible location. Our captain definitely knew where to find the amazing places, and a lot of the times we were the only boat there. The beaches are very rocky, so water shoes were handy if you were going exploring, and watch out for the pokey sea urchins. We were always deep enough that you could jump off the different decks of the boat, of course at your own risk. Several of us did it, and no injuries on our cruise, but it's a long ways up there. After our second swim, we'd head to the sun deck again and watch the world go by. We'd read, nap, and Carolina would give you classes in yoga. Very relaxing. Eventually we'd head to the cabin to shower and get ready for port. 2 nights they did offer dinner on board. The captain's dinner was fantastic and was included in our pricing. The other night was an optional barbecue, which was an extra $15 or so per person, and well worth it. They made 5 or 6 different grilled meats, french fries, and grilled veggies. Very tasty and affordable. The other nights we were on our own to find dinner in town. It was fun to check out menus and choose from local specialties, or just grab a pizza. Carolina's recommendations were right on for the restaurants, and we only regretted our choice one night when we chose on our own instead of following her picks. We also had excursions available at pretty much every stop. We did 2, a wine and olive oil tasting at Starry Grad and a bike tour around the lakes at Miette. Several couples did tours every stop. We really like exploring on our own, so chose that more often. A lot of times Carolina would leave a hike or bike that we could all follow and then have our own time on shore. Several restaurants ended up only accepting cash on the smaller islands, so we did spend more cash than we thought and had to find ATMs. The ATM always offered to convert to kunas from dollars so your bank wouldn't have to, and it would save you the foreign currency transaction fee from your bank. But it came at a price that we found always ended up more expensive than choosing to pay at our bank. In addition, most would charge a $5 to $10 fee for using the ATM. Make sure you have the cash available in the account that your debit card links to. I couldn't get to any of our secondary accounts with my card, and you should check on increasing your daily limit for withdrawals to make sure you can get enough cash. Some ports had quite a bit more to do than others, but I think I've been plenty long-winded for this blog, so I'll talk about the ports on a separate video. You needed to be back on board by 3 or 4 a.m. to make sure you didn't miss departure. Carolina did a great job keeping everyone informed about plans for the next day, timing, and excursions available via WhatsApp. We really enjoyed talking to the crew as well. They work extremely hard and long hours to make everything fantastic for us. Most spoke very good English, which was great since I found Croatian to be very difficult to pick up. Pronunciations were never how they looked. They would fish in the evenings and found out early on that I was a fisherman. They would show me their catches, from different fish to squid to a cuttlefish. Their meals would consist of their catches, so they were excited about whatever they caught. We compared notes on local wines and even discussed local politics and the war they had experienced not too long ago. They seemed to genuinely like to meet the guests and were extended family as well by the end of the cruise. I had a running joke with Anna, our bartender, after the captain showed up at captain's dinner with a wine glass filled with wine that was a color I hadn't seen. He finally admitted it was actually Jack Daniels, which was his preferred drink. After that dinner, I would order the captain's wine for a nightcap, and she thought it was funny to give me a wine glass of whiskey. That leads to the final big unknown at the end of the cruise. They do leave tip envelopes in your cabin the final full day on board. Sail Croatia is really vague about expectations. We decided that we pay $15 to $25 per person per day for a cruise on a big ship, so went towards the higher end for the crew, leaving about $50 per crew member. We also left a separate tip for Carolina for all of her work and help during the week. We hope you find this video helpful and that the information helps you decide if a Sail Croatia adventure is right for you. There are definitely more expensive options from lots of companies, but overall we were thrilled with our experience and would go back next summer if we could. I have a feeling that there could be another Sail Croatia cruise in our near future. If you like this video, we would love to have you subscribe and follow us so you can see where we are traveling, whether to live vicariously through our experience or to see if it would be right for you as well. Check out other travel videos on our blog or look at our other love as we cook our favorite recipes. Thanks for watching.